Hello, everyone. It's me, Ben Applegate from Kodansha Comics, and we're just going to give folks a couple of more minutes to log on. I hope everyone can see the first slide of my PowerPoint here. And we'll get started just a couple of minutes after 1 p.m. Thank you all for coming. I'm seeing someone in the chat say they can see and hear, and someone else saying they can't. So I'm going to come back on and say hello, just give you some more audio to see if your audio is setting up okay. I guess if you're earlier on time, you can have a special treat and say hello to my 2.5-month-old kitten. Just decided to sleep right next to the computer here. Get back to sleep. I hope audio problems are being worked out. I know WebEx can be a little bit difficult to deal with. Her name is Raindrop because we found her in the wheel well of an SUV in front of our house after a recent thunderstorm. So we're thinking that maybe Mama was moving the litter and she got left behind. We were actually already fostering kittens at the time, so she just got to join the party. So if anyone is in the New York City area and wants to adopt some kittens, send me your email address and I can hook you up. You will save me some money and some time scooping. Shipped to Texas. I mean, she's still small enough that she could probably fit in a FedEx flat rate. But I think she would complain about that. Yeah, I find a lot of publishing people have cats already. So okay, I think we have a really good group um, in the room now. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us for yet another Kodansha Book Buzz. This is for fall 2021, but we'll be talking about some titles through the end of the year and into next year. Anyone who has questions, feel free to post them in the chat or send them to me on WebEx. I know there's multiple different ways of doing that, so I will try to keep track of all of them. I've got them all open on my screen here. Just to introduce myself, I am Ben Applegate. I'm Director of Publishing Services for the Kodansha Print Program. And I'm not joined today by Yae Sahashi and Tomo Tran, but both of them are available to answer questions after this session is over. And they've both done a fantastic job supporting librarians over the past couple of years on the Kodansha side. So moving along. We went over this during the last book buzz, but Kodansha has actually undergone a rebranding this year. I know I said Kodansha Comics earlier. What I should have said is just Kodansha. We've got a new logo. This is actually the first global rebrand for Kodansha in 110 years. It's a very long-running prestigious Japanese publishing company that has never had a global brand, a single global logo. So that's what they have now. I think it looks really cool. And you will notice this being applied to not just the manga that we publish, but also the Kodansha dictionaries, the novels coming out of Vertical Inc., which is another Kodansha subsidiary. All of them will get this new Kodansha branding going forward, which I think is very exciting. And you will also see it attached to Kodansha anime productions as well. So 2021. What year is 2021? Well, it's the year of the manga. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that on the ground, all of you have seen interest in manga has exploded exponentially this year. We've gone from what was already a very successful decade for the category to it becoming the fastest growing publishing category in America. It's been a wild, wild ride. And like I said, I'm sure you've all seen the effect of this on the ground in your various institutions. But just to give you a big picture look from where we are sitting, this is what the BookScan sales figures have looked like over the past year and a half. The line at the top here, the brown line, is weekly sales in 2020 for manga. And this is not just Kodansha, this is across the entire category. This little dip here you can see was when COVID lockdowns were stopping books from being shipped out. But right after that period ended, sales shot up. We had the best holiday season of all time in the manga category. And then, shockingly, sales just kept going up after that point. And this black line you can see on the top is weekly sales in 2021 by units. And it's incredible to say, but we have exceeded the holiday season in spring and summer here. So the online communities that are interested in anime and manga have continued to grow. And Kodansha has been right at the forefront of that. Our performance actually is even a little bit better than the averages across the category that you're seeing here. And I mean, I wish I could have said I predicted this, but I obviously did not. If anyone has tried to order some of our books and has been unable to get them, I apologize. We've been reprinting as quickly as we possibly can, but of course there are still widespread supply issues across book printing at the moment. We are doing our best. If there is anything that you want to get in that you haven't been able to, and you're ordering directly from Penguin Random House, please do contact your sales rep. It's likely that they will know when that product will be back in stock. We have expanded the number of printers we're working with from 2 to 3 up to 9 to 10. And like I said, we're printing just as fast as we possibly can. So I'm optimistic that our in-stock situation will look much better by the end of the year, beginning of next year. In the meantime, I have to beg for your patience. Moving right along. Now I want to get down into some of the titles that have benefited from this new manga boom. Attack on Titan, of course, is at the top of this list, as I'm sure all of you have seen. There's a generation of new readers coming to this series, so much so that Attack on Titan 1 was the top-selling manga of the first half of 2021, which is just incredible considering I think we just this week had the 12th anniversary of the release of that book in Japan. And even now, that volume 1 is the top-selling manga in the English-speaking world. I think, like I said, that really speaks to the fact that these are new readers coming into the series. So hopefully a lot of them will stick around, pick up subsequent volumes in the series, and I'll get into what we're doing to support that a little bit later on. Also big hits, Odakoi has been our #2 series of the year. This is an interesting one since it is about characters in their early 20s, nerdy office workers who have various romantic relationships. But we do see younger readers interested in it as well. Rounding out the anime tie-in titles on this list, Fire Force, Vinland Saga, Rent a Girlfriend, and Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro have all been huge sellers this year. Vinland Saga just got another season of anime announced, which will probably be in 2022. We're not quite sure yet. So the heat is sure to stay on that series. Rent a Girlfriend similarly has a second season on the way, and Fire Force, I believe, still has more to come. while Don't Toy with Me, Miss Nagatoro has had a great response to the anime this year. At the bottom of this list here are some classic backlist titles: Parasite, A Silent Voice, and Hitorejime My Hero, which is the only BL title on this list, as well as Blue Period, which I'll get into a little bit later, but we're very excited about that new series this year. Finishing out the list of our 2021 superstars are a couple more great shonen titles: Seven Deadly Sins, Quintessential Quintuplets. Both of those have new anime coming up, as well as That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Noragami Stray God does not have new anime coming, but that's a Japanese traditional kind of ghost culture inflected adventure series with beautiful artwork that just keeps on chugging as new readers come in and discover that really cool epic adventure story. Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest is the sequel to the mega hit Fairy Tail, and recently that got an anime adaptation announced, so that's sure to keep going. I mentioned this on the last Book Buzz, but volume 1 of that series actually outperformed the final volume of the main Fairy Tail series. So great sign that the fans have come with us to the sequel on that one. Shaman King Omnibus is a reissue of a classic 2000s shonen title that was out of print for quite a long time. And wow, have the fans responded to this reissue. The old fans are still there picking this up, and new fans are picking it up, wanting to get into the really cool shaman action fights as well. This also has a new anime coming out this year. And Kodansha has been doing a ton of work to promote it online on their website, on their social media, as well as with some digital exclusives. So we cannot, this is one where we just have not been able to keep up with the demand. As soon as we print the initial print run, it is just gone. So definitely one to stock alongside Seven Deadly Sins and Attack on Titan. Blood on the Tracks, a mature vertical title from the creator of Flowers of Evil and Happiness, has been doing very well. In fact, Shuzo Oshimi's entire catalog has been selling well over the past year and a half. Cells at Work, another very fun anime title, which got a second season this year. Its spin-off, Cells at Work Code Black, also got a second season. And Akira, constant bestseller. Those left to right classic paperbacks, we are still keeping those in print. And I'm sure you all, I don't have to tell you all how essential that one is. Finally, rounding out this list is A Sign of Affection, which has been a real library favorite. I've been very much enjoying the feedback I've gotten on this series. It's about a deaf college student who meets a classmate of hers on the train, and the romance that they start up with each other. He is a global traveler and is multilingual. And so he's interested in learning sign language, and there's a lot of great both text and story about Japanese sign language in this book. It actually recently got a Japanese stage adaptation, which I think is very interesting, but I unfortunately will not be able to go see it, obviously, since we are all stuck in situ for the time being. Now I want to get into some slides about what we are doing to support our great backlist titles and some of the cool frontlist titles we have coming up in the future. But before I do that, just to answer a couple of questions, will these slides be available? Yes, I am happy to provide them afterward. Just drop me an email at bapplegate, BAPPLEGATE, at penguinrandomhouse.com, which I will post in the chat right now as well, so people can take that down. Okay. I think that's the only question so far. Oh, wondered what recommendations for a core collection for the juvenile fiction collection. Most manga seems to be for the YA audience. So that's a really interesting question. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to categorize manga by age, and we really struggle with age rating for some of our books at times, just because of the difference in the US and Japan in terms of what content is appropriate for which audience. So while YA audience might be interested in a lot of these titles, it's not always the titles you'd expect. And I would say the same for a more juvenile audience. Just to give you an example, I mean, Fairy Tale is kind of on the borderline between 13 plus and 16 plus, but I find that it's a lot more the 13 to 15-year-olds that are picking up that series. And so it's really something where you need to know what to recommend to whom. And I apologize that I can't give a more specific answer. I guess as I'm going through this and I see ones that will be good for a younger audience, I'll be sure to spotlight them, since I know that's something a lot of people are interested in. Getting back into this slide, Elizabeth, I'm going to be able to answer your question right now. Attack on Titan Omnibus release when? Attack on Titan Omnibus release now. So we are releasing Attack on Titan in a 3-in-1 Omnibus edition at an A5 size, so it's a little bit bigger than our smaller individual volumes. And these are gonna look really great because the covers will have spectacular sculpted embossing. The Titan will jump off the page, and Aaron will be bumpy on here. So I'm really looking forward to seeing people's tweets when they see these on store shelves. Like I said, these will be 3-in-1s, and we're issuing the entire series in this format through volume 34, the final volume, which of course is coming out later this year. Also in that format will be the 7 Deadly Sins, the fantasy magical kind of King Arthur influenced adventure series. Just like Attack on Titan, that'll be in 3-in-1 omnibuses at an A5 size. And we have a spin-off series called 4 Nights of the Apocalypse coming to print in January. So please look forward to that. Also getting the omnibus treatment, as I mentioned, are Shaman King, which has been doing really well, and Battle Angel Alita. We are finally issuing those books in a more accessible, cheaper paperback format. For a long time, the hardcover deluxe editions were the only way to read the original Battle Angel Alita series. But starting this year, we're issuing 300-page paperbacks, which should make it a lot easier to keep this on the shelf and to carry around, because I know the deluxe editions are pretty heavy. Okay, moving along. A few more omnibuses to share with you. First of all, Yoko Nogiri, who has been a superstar shoujo manga creator, especially for libraries. Every single one of her series so far has been a YALSA Great Graphic Novels for Teens selection. That Wolf Boy Is Mine and Love and Focus, which are her 2 completed series, will both be issued or have been issued in omnibus format. That Wolf Boy Is Mine in 2-in-1 volumes, and Love and Focus in 1 complete 600-page graphic novel. And her new series, Those Not So Sweet Boys, is now coming out in individual volumes. So please make sure to consider that one if the other 2 have done well for you. And at last, A Silent Voice, the story about a deaf girl and her bully, and the psychic damage that those experiences leave and how to deal with them, which was adapted into an acclaimed animated film that has ended up on Netflix and got a great response worldwide. We're bringing back that series in 2 hardcover volumes at 7 by 10, 700 pages each, 700 pages plus each. And those books will also include a bunch of bonus content, including author interviews and the original pilot version of the manga. This author actually did 2 pilots of the first chapter, I guess you could call them, as just a self-contained story, which she published before starting the serialized version. And they provide a lot of great insights into how the story evolved over time. They are complete. They're not sketches at all. And it's really interesting to get to see them. So I'm excited that we'll be able to bring those out in English for the first time in this edition. Danica asked to type the author of Wolf Boy Is Mine. It is Yoko Nogiri, and I've typed that out in the chat right there. So Yoko-Nogiri. And finally, Kodansha is returning to an author that Kodansha had been synonymous with for a long time in the Japanese market. That is the god of manga, Osamu Tezuka. There are 3 Osamu Tezuka classics which have been out of print for some years that are now coming back into print. Ode to Kirihito, and Apollo's Song, two of the manga that made Tezuka's reputation as not just an author of children's entertainment like Astro Boy, but also one of the great authors of adult graphic novels. Princess Knight, which was originally available in 2 volumes, but now will be coming out in an all-in-one edition. And finally, a brand new Osamu Tezuka title, Bamba, which is about a boy who can summon a vengeful ghost horse to go after his enemies. It's a really fun example of Tezuka's most experimental period, and that's one that I'm very excited to be able to get a hold of. Quick question from Leanna. How strong will the binding be on the larger volumes? The larger books always get the most love and the spine breaks. So that was actually one of the reasons that we went with the larger size for the Seven Deadly Sins and Attack on Titan omnibuses. I find that when you're going to do a 3-in-1 600-page book, the binding can take a little bit more of a beating when you go with the larger size. So we're not doing anything special on the binding, but I'm hoping that the larger size will help compensate for that and help those last a little bit longer for you. Next up, as promised, here's what we're doing to support Attack on Titan in its final year of new manga. It's hard to believe it's been a long, emotional journey. I've been working on this series as an editor since volume 2, when I first joined the Kodansha team. So this is a big moment for me and for the entire team. Volume 34 is coming out this October and will end the series run. But that doesn't mean that we have stopped publishing new Attack on Titan books, because the fandom is still out there and is still very hungry for more. And to that end, we are issuing the Best of Attack on Titan in Color, Volume 1 and 2 in the coming months. These are hardcover, not quite 7 by 10, I'm sorry. These are hardcover American graphic novel sized collections of 6 chapters each from the manga that have been remastered and redone in full color with the supervision of the original creator, Hajime Isayama. Each of these chapters was selected either by the creator himself, by the editors in Japan, or by the fans. So it's a very special collection. And each of these books will also include the sketched original version of Attack on Titan Chapter 1 and 2. The first hardcover volume, the cover of which you see here, will include that original sketch version of Chapter 1. And the next volume will include the sketch version of Chapter 2. And the reason we're including those is that the original Attack on Titan pitch that Hajime Isayama made to Kodansha ended up looking very different from the final versions of chapters 1 and 2 that were actually published. So fans have been clamoring to get to see this alternate version of the first 2 chapters of the series, and I'm very happy that we can put them back out there in these lovely hardcovers. Also available and doing very, very well are Attack on Titan No Regrets, which is available also in a complete color edition in a lovely hardcover. Or if that's a little bit too big for you, we've got the 2 paperbacks still in print. That has been also spiking just as the main series has, along with Attack on Titan Before the Fall, which is also still doing very well. So please have a look at the other Attack on Titan series that are out there. When fans run out of Attack on Titan manga, the main series to read, they're going to want it somewhere else to go, and you can give that to them. Answering a couple of questions. Will those Not So Sweet Boys be in print soon? Yes, I believe the first volume or the first few volumes have already come out, so that should be out there. Although I'm not sure they're in stock at the moment, but if they're not, they should be soon. Laura asks, will this reprint of Tezuka, will we also be seeing reprints of Blackjack? I don't have any information about that, unfortunately, at this time, Laura. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, on Attack on Titan, the anime returns for the part 2 of the final season in January 2022. So the hype train is going to keep on rolling down the track for this series, and you're going to want to make sure it's stocked through next year. Now, finally, I want to get into our new titles for fall and winter with Boys Run the Riot. This series has started in May. We put out the first volume in late May, and it's about a transgender teen named Yo who only feels truly like himself when he's wearing his favorite street fashion. and how he meets a classmate who at first looks like a very scary delinquent, but they each find out more about each other and decide to start their own street fashion brand together. It's a completely unique series, in particular because it was created by a transmasc manga artist, Keito Gaku, who created this 4-volume series and poured a lot of his personal experience as a trans man in Japan into this writing. So it's not, while it's not strictly autobiographical, it is a deeply personal story for this creator. I'm even more excited to be able to share that, equally excited to be able to share that this English edition was created by an all trans and non-binary team of manga professionals. The editor on this series, Tiff Joshua Ferrantini, did an incredible job making sure that this got the treatment that it deserves in English. And emblematic of that is the cover that you see here, which is actually unique to the US edition. In fact, this is the volume 1 cover, but the author was kind enough to create the volume 2, 3, and 4 covers from scratch for our edition to make sure that it would connect with the right audience in the US market. It's gotten unbelievable amount of acclaim already. First print of volumes 1 and 2 have sold out, and we've had to reprint, I think, a couple of times on volume 1 to get it back into stock. So please do pick this up. It's a, like I said, very extremely unique series, and will run through this fall with volume 4. Beth says, I just finished volume 1 of Boys Run the Ride. I love the story, characters, and art. Yes, couldn't put it better. It's great. Rolling along to Blue Period. This is another new series, which has been a big hit beyond our expectations. And the anime isn't even out yet. It's actually getting an anime coming soon. This is about a high school boy who is living his life based on other people's expectations of him. And that goes for his parents and his teachers, in that he is, making sure to get all his homework done and go to class and get good grades. And it goes for his friends. He lets himself get pressured into staying out all night and smoking and going to karaoke. But he doesn't have something that he is passionate about and that he can do for him. And that's when he discovers the world of fine art. And this Blue Period follows his journey into painting and meeting other art students, and really finding his passion. It's beautifully told story, and as you can tell from some of the tools they're using on the covers of these books, incredibly accurate depictions of what it's like to be an art student in Japan, at least. They go into detail about the types of tools that these kids use. So anyone who is interested in fine art will also get a lot out of this, both in terms of like painting, sketching, sculpting, etc. This one is getting an anime in October, so we only expect it to continue finding a larger audience from here on. Also coming out, a bunch of new fantasy titles and supernatural titles, which are always huge hits. Peach Boy Riverside is in print and is getting an anime adaptation that has brought new attention to that retelling of the Japanese Momotaro Peach Boy myth with a shonen action twist. Vampire Dormitory is coming to print this fall. This is from Emma Toyama, the creator of I Am Here, among many others. And it's about a girl who looks like a beautiful boy who ends up staying in a boys' dormitory that is full of vampires. So, hijinks ensue. I don't think I need to say more than that on that one, actually. It really, really just sells itself. The hero life of a self-proclaimed mediocre demon. This is one you may not have heard of. It does not have an anime attached to it, but what it does have is a massive sales record as a digital title. This is one where fans just spread it around by word of mouth, kept picking up the ebooks, and we decided, well, we really have to bring this title into print. It's a fantasy series. It's not an isekai. I see somebody in the Q&A mentioning isekai. It's actually not an isekai title. It's a kind of more traditional fantasy magic school type series where the main character is a djinn, D-J-I-N-N, who ends up at a magic academy to learn how to do magic alongside vampires and elves and all sorts of different magical creatures. So it reminds me a little bit of Negima, reminds me a little bit of Harry Potter, and it's a lot of fun. Finally, Beauty and the Beast of Paradise Lost. The first volume of that has just come out. And this is the latest from Kaori Yuki, the master of Twisted Fairy Tales, who is the creator of Angel Sanctuary and Alice in Murderland more recently. This one is her twisted take on the Beauty and the Beast story, with some like trans-dimensional travel thrown in there for good measure, and a mystery surrounding impersonators of the Beast. And wow, that like the Belle's dad character in this series is not the lovable scamp that he is in the Disney movie. I have to say, what a jerk. Anyway, so this one features beautiful, detailed art and lots of mystery, lots of fun character moments, and lots of whiplash on turning various pages. Up next, I mentioned Seven Deadly Sins and the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, the spin-off series that we will be bringing out in January. What I did not mention was Original Sins, the short story collection, which will be coming out in October. This is a one-volume book of short stories by the original creator, Nakaba Suzuki, which we just haven't found a place to compile yet. So we're bringing them out in this book, Original Sins. Phantom of the Idol is a new shoujo series coming in 2022. And it's about the laziest idol singer in the world. He is in a two-man group, like a boy band, with his partner, who is pouring his heart out in every performance and has a huge fan base. And he's lucky that his partner does, because this guy is super, super lazy. He only got into singing because he thought it was a ticket to quick riches. And he's extremely disappointed that he has to actually go out there and work and dance and sing and do all this boring stuff. So he is about to get fired, is the short of it, and is sitting backstage after a particularly unsuccessful show when he looks next to him and sees this woman in, gloves and sequins and this fancy getup. He assumes that she's some sort of deranged fan or wannabe singer of some sort. She looks over to him and says like, wow, isn't, performing great, amazing. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, it turns out she's the ghost of an idol who had died in a car crash a year earlier, and he's the only one who can see her. And making it even weirder, she was like a prodigy. She was like the voice of a generation, amazing performer who everyone misses. But of course, because he doesn't care about the world of idols, he doesn't know that. And they find out that she can possess his body while he's on stage and do the dances and singing for him, which she wants to do. And then he gets all the riches and adoration. And, there are no further complications past that point. Not really, obviously, but yes, it is a comedy. Someone asked, is Phantom of the Idol a comedy? Yes, in case I wasn't making that clear enough, it is a comedy. And lots of hijinks ensue after that. Finally, Penguin and House. This is another new series coming in 2022. It's a short 3 volumes about a young man and his penguin roommate who does the cooking and cleaning and shopping and just generally takes care of the house while this young man is away. It's really, it's funny, it's cute, it fits right alongside stuff like Way of the House Husband, and A Man and His Cat, except with this bulbous, cute penguin character. So look forward to that one. So a few new titles from what was formerly the Vertical team. Now everything is just, of course, the same Kodansha label. Sigwatera from the series from Furia, Sensei, which I believe is his first title out in English. That's coming out in September. Definitely an adult series. Blackguard is coming in February 2022, which I think I talked about on the last buzz. And finally, Emma Dreams of Stars coming out in November, which I know I also talked about last time, but this one is very interesting because it's what's it called? Collaboration with the Michelin Guide, about what it's like to be a taster for the Michelin Guide. So this one made a big splash in Japan when it came out there. It's a single volume only, and I'm very excited to own this one in English as well. Getting into romance, which is always a good topic to write a manga about. I mentioned Hichorojime My Hero and how that series, that BL series, has way outlasted everyone's expectations for it. It continues to be a bestseller, even 5 years, I believe, after it got started, and after the anime completed. But what we haven't done is we haven't published the original. Oh, we have a question. What does BL stand for? BL stands for Boys Love, and it's a genre in Japan that's also known as yaoi in the US. So if you've heard of yaoi, BL, same thing. They're male romance comics, which are often drawn by and for women in the Japanese market. I think that's the simplest explanation I can give. Do some Googling, I guess, if you if you need to know more, because it's a very complicated subject, but it's a super popular subgenre of manga with a lot of great work in it. Please, someone says, please do not Google yaoi. Yeah, apologies in advance. I guess don't Google it on like the public library computer. Definitely do it on your phone or something. So anyway, Hichorojime My Hero is a great example of a 16 plus, not 18 plus, 16 plus BL series that has been extremely successful. But what we haven't done is we haven't published the original title that came before it, which is called Hichorojime Boyfriend. And Hichorojime My Hero is actually a spin-off of Hichorojime Boyfriend. This one came out in an ebook only format from another publisher many years ago and then disappeared again. So the fans have been waiting for this to come back into print for a very long time, and we will be giving that to them in October. Speaking of spin-offs, Rent a Girlfriend has been the most popular new romance series that Kodansha published in 2020. And in addition to waiting for the second season of that anime to come out, we are also publishing a spin-off about the character of Sumi called Rent a Really Shy Girlfriend, which is coming in November. And this is much more of kind of a straight comedy manga rather than a romance drama like Rent a Girlfriend. This is about a very, very shy woman who decides that she wants to become a rental girlfriend in order to kind of come out of her shell a little bit. And it's about her just trying to do all the things that she has trouble doing, like going to order a donut gives her extreme social anxiety. It's actually kind of a sweet depiction. It's not mocking at all. It doesn't make fun of her for, getting upset. And it's just kind of a matter-of-fact depiction of what it's like to go through life with this kind of level of social anxiety. Just to explain, by the way, what I mean by rental girlfriend, in case any of you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a phenomenon in Japan where you can rent someone for the day just to hang out with you. So if you want to rent an entire family, you could definitely do that. You can rent a dad to hang out with, you can rent a mom, and you can rent a girlfriend or a boyfriend to go on a date with. It's perfectly chaste, and it's you can actually find some videos about it. I think when Conan was in Japan, he rented a family, and so if you want to know more in an entertaining way, you can punch that into YouTube and find that. Lovesick Ellie is another digital first title that is coming to print from popular demand. This might be the digital title that I've seen the most requests for a print version on Twitter. So I'm very happy we'll be able to bring that out into print. It's about a high school girl who lives out her fantasy life through Twitter by typing up these fantasies she has about the boys in her class. And of course, it's all anonymous and she doesn't use their real names, but also, of course, because this is a shoujo manga, the most popular boy in the class figures out her secret, and it turns out he's not as perfect as she thought he was, and they get to know each other better. So very funny. She's supposed to be, her fantasies are supposed to be very pervy, but they're really, I mean, they're not that mature level. I mean, this is definitely a 16, like low side of 16 plus manga. Just a very funny, sweet shoujo rom-com. Finally, when will Ayumu make his move? Um, is the new series from teasing master Takagi-san, and perfectly timed to pick up the boom around this kind of high school sexual tension rom-com, I guess, exemplified by Komi Can't Communicate and Don't Miss Nagatoro, sorry. This one centers around shogi, which is a Japanese chess variant, a board game, and the two members of a high school shogi club. So the girl you see in the middle there, she is the president, the club president, and the boy there, who is Ayumu, he is the only other member of the club. So their club activities consist of them sitting around playing this board game all day. And it's very, very obvious to her that he likes her. And so she tries to trick him into finally asking her out. But what she doesn't know is that he has sworn not to confess his love until he can beat her at shogi. The problem is he really, really sucks. So each chapter is kind of about her putting him in different awkward situations, which he very easily wriggles out of, and the embarrassment that ensues. And then there are other characters who get introduced further down the line. But I was surprised by the anticipation of this series. A lot of people are out there waiting for this one to come out. So this is actually out this month. Now, finally, those of you who asked about juvenile titles, this is the slide for you. We always get questions about what titles we publish are good for all ages or for younger readers. And this is now your quick introduction, although it's not totally comprehensive. So first of all, of course, the Cheese franchise, Cheese Sweet Home being the main series, but there's also Fuku Fuku Kitten Tales, Cheese Sweet Adventures, and several other books in this series. So you can please look those up. Just a very sweet book about a stray kitten who gets adopted off the street. Very similar to you, actually, Raindrop. Oh, she's asleep. And Konami Kanata is very good at drawing these cat manga, so much so that she did it again for Sue and Tai-chan, which is about a two-cat household. One of the cats is a senior cat who kind of just wants to be left alone, and one of them is a spunky kitten who does not want to leave the older cat alone. And I have been a witness to this dynamic in my household, and I can tell you it is very humorous, and Kanata-sensei has a great take on that in this book. Similar to the original Cheese Sweet Home, Sue and Tai-chan is also in full color and published in a left-to-right format, so super accessible for all ages. Cells at Work, I mentioned a little bit earlier. This is the manga that's set inside a human body where each character is a different cell. The main character is being a red blood cell and a white blood cell. And it not only got an anime adaptation, but has also been huge on YouTube for the Doctors React videos. I've gotten millions and millions of views of doctors squealing with delight over the accuracy of the microbiology in these books. Cells at Work Baby is the spinoff in a baby's body. And in fact, the first chapter is about labor and being born. And you can see the placenta red blood cells handing the oxygen over to the fetal red blood cells. And when labor starts, they have to close the doors on the placenta and no, you have to leave, get out of the umbilical cord now. And then they're like, wow, what's going on? So it's fun to watch these little tiny cells, and you can see their little chibi baby cells figuring out what their jobs are supposed to be. The explanations of the microbiology in the little insets are just as accurate and detailed as on the main series. But if you are reading this with a younger reader, you can skip right over them. They're not essential reading. And the manga itself is perfectly appropriate for younger kids, maybe age 5, 6 and up, as long as they'll understand the concept. Finally, one for definitely a little bit older kids is Yuzu the Pet Vet, which is about a child named Yuzu whose mother ends up having to be hospitalized, and so she has to go stay with her uncle who runs a veterinary clinic. The only problem being Yuzu is scared of animals. So it's about her, um, you know, being around her uncle who runs this vet clinic and getting adjusted to animals and getting over her fear. But each story also focuses on a different animal's ailment. And I gotta say, I was blown away by this one, by how sophisticated it is emotionally, and how much these stories around animals could apply to people as well. For example, there's one about a dog who just isn't acting the way the owners want it to, and she's like, I don't understand, you know, used to be waiting for me at this spot all the time, like what, like all this, it's not doing it anymore, and like what's going wrong, like why is it misbehaving? It turns out this dog is older and has gotten Alzheimer's and has actually lost a lot of its memory, and it's just uh, you know, you hear that and then you can apply it to people in your life, which I certainly did. And I get emotional reading this book, which is the only reason I wouldn't recommend it for very young children, because it does deal with some heavy stuff, including, you know, pets who unfortunately pass away. And of course, as I mentioned, the main character's mother is in the hospital. So make sure that thematically the children who read this are ready for all that stuff. But there's no blood or anything, and you know, there's no like bloody surgeries in it or anything like that. So I can't recommend using the pet bed enough. Danica asks, is that true of the original Cells at Work? I assume you're talking about the appropriateness for young children. No, Cells at Work is a 13 plus series. It does have some action fight scenes in it and some blood, which I realize sounds silly to say, but what I mean is when some of the blood cells get injured, blood comes out of the blood cells. So no, I would recommend that for definitely older kids. And Cells at Work Code Black, as Sarah is pointing out right now, is the adult spin-off for 18 plus readers, and we've indicated that by putting a very big 18 plus sticker on the front of that series. So Code Black, very, very funny, not for kids. The original Cells at Work shows them eating the viruses, which can be a little much. LOL. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, they have, the white blood cells have knives and use them to stab like viruses and bacteria. So yeah, it's that's part of the fun, is the over-the-top nature of the action. So it's not like it's going to traumatize a 13-year-old, but definitely not for like a 5-year-old. Mallory asks, can you share the slides of the presentation? Yes, I absolutely can. Please just shoot me an email if you want them. I'm going to post my email again in the chat just so that people have it. Okay. Moving right along to tween and teen titles. So as a companion to the all ages titles, I wanted to shout out some of the books that we have in our backlist and in our front list that are good for this age group. First of all, the Makoto Shinkai franchise, 5 centimeters per second, Garden of Words, Weathering with You, and there are some more new ones coming out now. All of these books are good for teens. Garden of Words does have a teacher-student relationship in it, so maybe check that one first, depending on what you're comfortable with. 5 centimeters per second, though, definitely a great one for teens. Same for Weathering with You. Witch Hat Atelier, which I see people talking about in the chat. Yes, this is an unbelievable masterpiece. Every time I read it, I'm in utter awe, even if it's a volume I've read already, at the brilliance of not just the characters in the story, but just the sequential art on the page. She makes making comics look so easy, and it just blows my mind. Witch Hat Atelier is about a girl who decides to become a witch in a world where people are told that you are born a witch or you're not. It's an inborn ability, and if you don't have it, you don't have it. But what she discovers is that this is a lie, in fact. And the secret is that magic comes from drawing. Magic comes from drawing these patterns in a circle to control what the magic does. And when you close the circle, the magic spell activates. And this is a very deliberate choice on the part of Kamomi Shirahama, the author, because she's using magic as a metaphor for creative work, like drawing comics or writing or painting. And that effort can unlock these skills for anyone, not just someone who's supposedly born with the talent, which I think is a fantastic message to give to anyone, really, not just tweens and teens, but for adults too. This one won an Eisner Award last year and was a Yalsa Great Graphic Novels for Teens top 10 pick. If you don't have this one on your shelf, please pick it up. It is really genuinely essential. Up next, number 6, which is a backlist title. This was also a Yalsa Great Graphic Novels for Teens top 10 pick back in the day, but the reason I'm mentioning it now is because it has spiked again. People are picking up this series again, which is great. It's a dystopian fiction story set in city number 6, one of these computer-controlled cities that still exist after the world has gone through a climate apocalypse. But this climate apocalypse also created large numbers of refugees who live outside of these cities. And the main character with the brown hair that you see on this cover is being groomed to be a member of the elite ruling class of city number 6 when he finds entering his life a fugitive who comes from outside the city walls, who goes by the name only Rat. And it's about their relationship and how they discover the dark mysteries behind city number 6 and who has been trampled over in order to keep the city running. It's also about the growing affection between the two of them and how they gradually fall for each other and develop feelings for each other. So this is a great example of LGBTQ representation that isn't necessarily made the center of the narrative, but that is just there. And I remember selling this series at conventions and being really impressed and heartened by the diversity of readers who would pick this one up from the publisher table. It wasn't just isolated to folks looking for like BL or yaoi or what have you. It was people looking for a cool sci-fi adventure. And then it also has the romance subplot in there, which I think is really cool. So this is one to keep an eye on because it has come back to life this year. Finally, Heaven's Design Team, which as somebody pointed out in the chat, just got an anime adaptation. This is about the creation of the animal kingdom at the dawn of time. God creates the heavens and the earth, and he sketches out some specs for the animals, but at that point, I guess he wanted to take his rest a day early, and he sent the rest of the work, outsourced the rest of the work to a design agency instead. So the folks you see here are designers at Heaven's Design Team. And the guy on the left with the ruffly collar, he's actually an angel who delivers the specs to the team, and then the team creates the animals. And if the animal design gets approved, this big like approved seal appears in the sky sent down from on high. It is only very mildly blasphemous and really, really cute because it goes into a great deal of detail about why animals are the way they are, and why animals aren't the way they aren't, which is even the more funny part. Like, why don't unicorns exist? You can see a unicorn on there, like, well, that horn would unbalance the unicorn and they would have to expend so much energy creating that horn that they wouldn't have energy around for anything else. And there's a great one where they're creating a giraffe and they're like, well, if we need to get a horse that can eat leaves that are high up, let's just make the neck really, really long. And what they find out is that you can't make an animal with a heart strong enough to do that. The animal would immediately asphyxiate, and the poor prototype ends up just falling over on the ground, foaming at the mouth and everything. Yes, poor giraffe, exactly. But at the end of each chapter, there are actual photographs of the animals that they designed and detailed explanations of the science behind the series, which is very cool. Heaven's Design Team has one character who's supremely focused on procreation as a caution to tween readers. Yes, this is true. There is some animal kind of, I mean, nothing worse than you'd see in like a David Attenborough documentary, but they do talk about how koalas have forked penises, for example. So maybe not for people who would be squeamish about that kind of content. Julie asked, which one did you said have a teacher-student relationship and that we needed to be wary of? For the Makoto Shinkai books, that was Garden of Words. Number 6 is such a good dystopian BL manga, says Larissa. Yes, I agree. I edited that one back in the day, so I'm happy people are still coming to it. Okay, moving along. All right, I've left a space here for Q&A. I know that people have been asking questions throughout, but if you have any more questions, now is the time. Please do pop them in the chat or into the Q&A field. Mecca asks, will we receive a digital copy of the title lists? Thank you for reminding me, actually, because I have one. It's an these titles are all on an Edelweiss catalog, which I'm going to try to post in the chat, although I've had trouble doing that before. Oh, it looks like it went through. Did everyone see that link go out in the chat window? Great, good, okay. That is an Edelweiss catalog that you're welcome to use for all the titles that we talked about here, and I think there are a couple more in there for good measure as well. Can we see your cat again? Yes, I will wake her up in a moment. Starting our manga collection in a high school library. Any titles, old or new, that are must orders? Wow. Congratulations and good luck. That's hugely important. And if you get a good manga collection going, I think you're going to have lots of students coming in and out. Must orders, I think, include Akira, really is a must. Sailor Moon, Attack on Titan. I would argue Witch Hat Atelier is in there. I think that's a really good one for a high school library. Aside from that, some of the Clamp series. So Tsubasa Omnibus, Holic Omnibus. What else? I'm gonna go back to the actually just want to go back to the essentials slide here just to give you a look at some of these titles, because I think a lot of these are going to go on there. Parasite is one. That's a classic. A Silent Voice is absolutely an essential. Noragami is great. Shaman King is great. And Cells at Work, I think, is also a good one to throw in there. Cardcaptor Sakura, Logan, thank you. Yes, that's another really good one to throw in there. And we have published Cardcaptor Sakura in big hardcover editions that are sure to delight your readers. Just started a manga club at my high school. This will be great for me to share this information. Great, thank you, Casey. I hope it is helpful. Larissa asks, is Alice in Murderland published in the USA? Yes, that is out from Yen Press. Elizabeth adds Junji Ito. Yes, Junji Ito's titles are absolutely a good additional one. In fact, we just reissued a Junji Ito book in hardcover, which I'm around to see if, oh yes, here it is. Junji Ito's Cat Diary, Yona and Mu, is now out in a hardcover edition. This is coming out actually Halloween this year. You can see it's got a brand new cover illustration, which Junji Ito actually drew just for this edition. And you can't see it on this screen, but the front cover actually glows in the dark. So the logo and the cat's eyes and other parts of the cover do glow in the dark, which we thought was fun. Oh dear, I did something and I lost the chat window. Give me 1 second to get it back. Okay. I want to be selfish and tell that new manga purchaser to buy Gundam. Not selfish at all. Gundam's great. We have the Gundam The Origin manga, which has been very popular. What age range would you say is Junji Ito? So the Cat Diary book, it actually mistakenly says mature on the back, unfortunately, but this is 13 plus. It's autobiographical about him moving in with his fiance, I guess, at the time, and the 2 cats that she brought into his life, and him as a cat novice having to deal with these felines for the first time. It's straight up just a comedy, like an autobiographical comedy, no real adult content whatsoever. But his other works are certainly horror and should be treated accordingly. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And we will see you in January. We're planning to keep these things going 3 times a year. So please look for the invitation to the next one when I will be hopefully able to tell you exactly how the holiday season went, how we see 2021 going, and which manga and anime we are excited about in the new year, which I think will also be the year of the manga. I don't think it's going to change. I think the increase in readership is definitely here to stay, and I couldn't be more excited about that. Thank you all so much for everything that you do, and for spreading these books to folks who will read them and love them. Again, I can't tell you how grateful I am for all of your hard work. And have a wonderful week and a good rest of your summer. Thanks.